Hi guys, it's me again. I'm going to be I'm going to be doing a video showing you how to solve certain types of equations that CXC tends to bring in the exam. All right. Um, Give me a sec. All right, so let's get started. Like I said, guys, if you want to know when I submit new videos, just hit like and subscribe to my CSEC Maths channel, right? There's a ton of resources there, free resources that you all can access. Just to let you all know that I do give online maths, chemistry, and physics classes. You can always send me a WhatsApp at this number here if you're interested. I will be starting new classes in August, right? Those are for those students entering Form 4 in September, right? Just some info for you guys. All right, so let's look at this here. All right, so first things first, we need to be able to solve simple equations, right? The first equation that we have here is x plus 7 is equal to 8. And if you want to solve for something, we are trying to find a value of x that satisfies that satisfies this equation, right? So we have x plus 7 is equal to 8. Now, you can think of this in two different ways. So essentially what we have here is a balance. That equal sign tells us that there's a balance. So whatever you do on the left-hand side of the equation, you must do the same thing on the right-hand side. Now, when you're solving an equation, you're trying to solve for x equal to something. That's the objective, to get x equal to some number, right? In this particular case here, we need to get rid of the 7 that is on the left-hand side. The only way that can happen is to subtract 7 from both sides of my equation. Now, you can think of it like this. X is equal to, and I'm moving that 7 to the right-hand side. Because it's plus 7 on the left, it's going to be minus 7 on the right-hand side. So this is going to be 8 minus 7. So this is going to be 1. X is equal to 1, right? And that's my answer, right? If I take 1 and substitute it into this equation here, we're going to see 1 plus 7 will give me 8. So that is correct. The second equation we need to solve here is x minus 2 is equal to 6. Now, it's x minus 2, and we need to get rid of the minus 2. The only way you can do that is by adding 2 to both sides of the equation. Just remember, whatever you do on one side, you have to do the same on the next side. It's a scale, it's a balance, right? So in order to do that, we can see that we are moving the minus 2 to the right-hand side. So this is going to become 6 plus 2, and therefore x has to be equal to 8. And that's my answer there, right? These are simple, basic equations that you have to be able to solve, right? Now, if we have something like 4x is equal to 20 and you want to solve for x, right? You need to get rid of the 4. The only way you can get rid of that 4 is by dividing both sides of my equation by 4. So, therefore, x has to be equal to 20 divided by 4, and therefore x has to be equal to 5, right? And that's my solution. When there are instances where we have a minus sign, you have to be careful with those now. So minus 2x is equal to 12. I need to get rid of that minus 2. The only way I can do that is to divide both sides of the equation by minus 2. So we're going to end up with x is equal to 12 divided by minus 2. So one of the mistakes that students make is that when they divide, they just divide by 2 and forget about the minus sign, because they believe that because you are moving that minus 2 to the right-hand side, the sign is going to change. That's not true, right? So my answer here, right, has to be minus 6. Positive number divided by a negative number, I'm going to get a negative number as my answer. So the answer is minus 6, right? This next one here, this is something that you might typically get into the exam. So if I want to solve this equation here, I need to get rid of that 3 first of all. So in order to do that, I need to subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. So I'm going to end up with 2x is equal to 7 minus 3. So therefore 2x is equal to 4. And if you want to get rid of this 2, I need to divide both sides of the equation by 2. And this is going to become x is equal to 4 divided by 2. And therefore x is equal to 2. right? This is how we solve a simple linear equation, right? That's what you call this type of equation. I have another one here. 2 minus 4x is equal to 10. First things first, get rid of the 2. So you'll end up with minus 4x is equal to 10 minus 2. So therefore, minus 4x is equal to 8, right? And therefore, x is going to be equal to 8 divided by minus 4. And therefore, x is going to be equal to minus 2. My answer is minus 2 here, right? So these types of equations are pretty simple enough to solve, right? But when students get an equation that looks like this, they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do, right? So first of all, if you look carefully, you realize that this here is a fraction. This is a fraction. So we are adding two fractions and the answer is equal to 4. And you want to solve for x, right? Now, typically, this is how I teach my class to do this, right? Now, there are alternative ways you can work this, but this is what I do. So x minus 3 over 2 plus 2x minus 1 over 3 is equal to, I'm going to write that 4 as a fraction. If I want to write that 4 as a fraction, I'm going to write it as 4 over 1 because anything divided by 1, I'm going to get back the same answer, right? So now I have a fraction added to a fraction and my answer is a fraction. What we need to look at, we need to look at my denominators. I have 2, I have 3, and I have 1. What I need to do, I need to find the LCM of 2, 3, and 1, right? Now, if you all remember what LCM is, it's lowest common multiple, right? Those are numbers that, in the case of 2, let's look at this. 2, the multiples of 2 will be, 2 can go into 2, it can go into 4, it can go into 6, it can go into 8, and keep going on and on, right? That's an infinite set. In the case of multiples of 3, it'll be 3, 6, 9, 12, and so we keep going. Those are numbers that 3 can go into, right? Then in the case of 1, right, only one can go into basically every number, right? So 1 can go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you keep going, right? 1 can go into all numbers, right? Now we want LCM, lowest common multiple, right? So that is the lowest number that is common to all these numbers here, the 2, 3, and the 1. So if you look carefully, you realize, wait a minute, I have 6, I have a 6 here, and I have a 6 here. That is the lowest number that is common to all of them. So that's my LCM. There's a reason why I need to use the LCM. So next step, right? And I'm going to write this here so you know exactly what I'm doing. I am multiplying every single term by 6. That's what I'm doing. Every single term is being multiplied by 6. So look carefully what I'm doing. I'm saying 6, right, over 1, right, multiplied by x minus 3 divided by 2, right? So the first term I've multiplied by 6. Plus, I'm writing back the plus sign. That's this plus sign here. You're going to put 6 over 1 multiplied by 2x minus 1 over 3. So I've multiplied the second term by 6. And then the last term here, I'm multiplying 6 over 1 multiplied by 4 over 1. So now we're going to make things disappear now, right? So here's what's happening. So let me use a different color here so you can see what I'm doing. So this 2 can go into the 6 3 times, right? So therefore, what I'm going to get there, when I simplify that, I'm going to get 3 multiplied by x minus 3, right? I'm going to put back my plus sign. Then we're going to say that this 3 here can go into the 6 2 times. So therefore, that's going to give me 2 multiplied by 2x minus 1. You see how I'm putting the brackets here? The mistake that some students make, they leave out the brackets. If you leave out the brackets, then when you simplify, you're going to get the wrong answer. 6 fours, that's going to give me 24. Next step, we need to simplify this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say 3 multiplied by x, that's going to give me 3x. I'm going to take this 3 and multiply by this minus 3. The sign is important. And that's going to give me minus 9. Then I'm going to simplify this here. 2 by 2x is going to give me plus 4x. And then 2 multiplied by minus 1, that's going to give me minus 2. And that's equal to 24. So I don't have enough space here. So I'm going to shift across here now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simplify. I'm going to bring all my x's together and throw all the numbers on the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, I can leave 3x plus 4x, right, is equal to 24. And I'm going to put the 9 and the 2, the minus 9 and the minus 2 on the right-hand side. So this is going to become plus 9 plus 2. And therefore, this is going to be 4 and 3, 7x. And then 24 plus 9 plus 2. And that is going to give me 35, right? That's going to give me 35. So you realize it's becoming easier and easier to solve. So therefore, x is going to be equal to 35 over 7. And therefore, x is equal to 5, right? So I've solved the equation here. Now, this is one of the more difficult questions that you can't get in the exam, right? But this is the technique that I typically teach in order to solve this, right? Express every term as a fraction, find your LCM, and just multiply by the LCM. That's going to help simplify everything for you guys, right? So we have a next one here. Again, right? First things first, let's write everything as a fraction. So this is going to be 4x minus 2 over 5, right? Minus 7x minus 2 over 2 is equal to minus 4 over 1, right? So I'm just writing the minus 4 as a fraction. Now, we need to look at our denominators. So we have 5, we have 2, and we have 1. So first things first, we have to find the LCM of 5, 2, and 1. So in the case of 5, right, my multiples will be 5, 10, 15, 20, and we keep going until infinity, right? In the case of 2, we can go with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and we keep going, right? In the case of 1, like I told you all, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we keep going. There's a reason why I went up to 10, right? So my LCM in this particular case is the lowest number that is common to all of them, right? LCM we're talking about, lowest common multiple. So in the case of 5, 2, and 1, the lowest number that is common to both of them here, if you look carefully, it is 10, right? So my LCM is 10. So my next step is to multiply every single term by 10. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to be 10 over 1 multiplied by 4x minus 2 over 5, close brackets, minus 10 over 1 multiplied by 7x minus 2 over 5, right? And this is going to give me 10 over 1 multiplied by minus 4 over 1, right? So all I've done, nothing complicated here. All I've done is multiply every single term by the LCM, which is 10. Next step, things are going to simplify for us now, right? So first things first, this 5 can go into this 10 2 times, right? Just now, have a little error here. Hold on. Right? This should be 7x minus 2 over 2, right? Yeah, this should be a 2 here. So let's fix this here. Right. So this 2 can go into this 10 5 times, right? Now we can continue with the simplification. So this here is going to be 2, open brackets, 4x minus 2. You're going to put back your minus sign here. And then this is going to be 5 multiplied by 7x minus 2, close brackets. And this is going to be equal to 10 by minus 4, minus 40. Next thing, we need to remove the brackets. So 2 multiplied by 4x is going to give me 8x. 2 multiplied by minus 2, that's going to give me minus 4. Then minus 5 by 7 is going to give me minus 35x. And then minus 5 by minus 2 is going to give me plus 10. Now, this is where students will tend to make a mistake, right? So CXC will give you a question where you have a minus sign here and you have a minus here, right? To mess you up in the exam, right? So be careful with questions like this. And this is equal to minus 40, right? So next step, I'm going to keep all my x's on one side. So this is 8x minus 35x, right, is equal to minus 40 plus 4 minus 10, right? Hopefully we don't have a mistake here. So I'm going to just work this on the side. So 8 minus 35 is going to give me minus 27. So this is minus 27x is equal to, and on the right hand side, it's minus 40 plus 4 minus 10. And I'm going to get minus 46, right? All right, so let's just double check this answer, make sure it's correct, right? Let me make sure before I work out the final answer. All right, so LCM was 10. So this is 2 open brackets 4x minus 2, and this is 5. Right, so this is 40 here. And 4 2s are 8, 2 2s are 4, 7 5s are 35, and that's plus 10. So then this is 8 minus 35. So minus 40 plus 4. All right, so this is what I'm getting here. So therefore, x is equal to minus 46 over minus 27. And therefore, x is equal to 46 over 27, right? Now let me just double check this answer for you guys, make sure it's correct. So 4 multiplied by 46 over 27 divided by 5 minus brackets. All right, so that's the answer I'm getting here, right? So this should be okay. Next one. What if we had to solve something like this, right? X multiplied by x minus 4 equal to 0. Now, as this equation is here, right? That's a quadratic, right? So you have x multiplying by all of this here. So there are two possible solutions for this. So we can say either, right? And CSEC brought this recently, by the way. So we can say either x is equal to 0, that's one solution, or x minus 4 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to 4. That's a second solution, right? So with a quadratic, there are two potential solutions. I mean, you can get one solution, two solutions, or no solutions, right? If we have, this is another one here, x plus 2 multiplied by 3x minus 2, right? So either brackets, right? Each one of them, we need to put them equal to 0. So either x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to minus 2. That's one solution. Or we can say 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So 3x is equal to 2. And therefore, x is equal to 2/3. Right? So this is how we solve questions that look like these. Right? Quite recently, a question like this came in the exam. Right? I think it was in the 2021 paper, I believe. So we have an equation here and we want to solve for this equation. So at first glance, it looks like a difficult question to work out, but you have a fraction equal to 0. Now, when I did something like this in class, students didn't understand something like this. 0 divided by any number will give me 0, right? So if you use a calculator and you take 0 divided by anything, you're going to get 0. However, if you take any number and you divide it by 0, you're going to get an error in the calculator, right? Or it might tell you undefined, right? So you can't take a number and divide it by 0. So if your answer, so this fraction here is equal to 0, it means that this must hold true. it means that only my numerator can be equal to 0. So therefore, I'm going to say x multiplied by x plus 3 is equal to 0. And that becomes similar to a question that I just did. So we can say either x is equal to 0 as one solution, or we can say x plus 3 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to minus 3, right? Now, CXC has also brought questions like these as well. So 3x minus x, that's a quadratic again, right? And if we needed to factorize this, this is going to be 3x minus 1 is equal to 0, right? So I'm using the HCF method to factorize this. So now we can say either x is equal to 0, that's one solution, or we can say 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. So 3x is equal to 1, and therefore x is equal to 1/3, right? That's a second solution. This one here, again, we can factorize this. We can pull out 2x, and this is going to be x plus 3 is equal to 0. So our solutions are either 2x is equal to 0, so therefore x is equal to 0, or we can say x plus 3 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to minus 3, right? So that's how we solve a quadratic that looks like that. Now, this one here is a full-fledged quadratic, right? In order to solve this, we must first factorize it, right? Now, let's go on this side here, and I'm going to factorize it first before I can solve it, right? So forget about the equal 0 part. You need to factorize it first before you can do anything. So this is the typical method that I teach to factorize a quadratic. We're looking for two numbers whose sum has to be equal to this number here, which is minus 5. And we're looking for two numbers, the same two numbers must have a product that is equal to 2 multiplied by minus 3, which is minus 6, right? So the two numbers that we're looking for here should be 1 and minus 6. Because when I take 1 and I multiply by minus 6, I'm going to get minus 6. But when I add those two numbers, I'm going to get minus 5. So now what do we do with those two numbers? What we're doing, we're going to replace the middle term in this quadratic. So this is going to be 2x squared plus x minus 6x minus 3, right? So all I'm doing here is factorizing this before I actually try to solve it. So when you're factorizing by this method here, we group the terms which are similar. So we have 2x squared plus x. I can factor out x, and this is going to be 2x plus 1, right? Don't put your sign here yet. That's typically what I tell my students to do. Don't put your sign there yet. We have minus 6x and we have minus 3. So I can pull out 3 here, and this is going to be 2x. And because the two brackets need to be the same, this has to be plus 1. The only way that can happen is if we put a minus sign here. So therefore, when I factorize this, I'm going to get 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 3. So that's our first step before we can solve this equation here. We need to factorize it. There's some students who can look at it and factorize it, and that's great. So therefore, I'm going to get two factors here, which is 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 3, right? And this is equal to 0. So this is, we have two solutions here. So either we say 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So 2x is equal to minus 1, and therefore x is equal to minus a half, right? And then we're going to have a or solution. So we have to put x minus 3 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to 3. So that's my second solution, right? I'm going to do one more quadratic equation here to solve, right? So before I solve it, first thing I need to do, I need to factorize it, right? And that's assuming that it can be factorized. So here's what's happening here. So we're looking for two numbers whose sum, right, has to be equal to plus 7. So the two numbers have to add up to 7, and the product of those two numbers, right, has to be 2 multiplied by minus 4, which is minus 6, right? So what are those two numbers? So if I take 6 and minus 1, will I get that? Sorry, 6 and minus 1, not minus 6. Right, so 6 and minus 1. So 6 multiplied by minus 1, yes, I'll get minus 6, and 6 plus minus 1, I'm going to get 7. So let's go ahead. We're going to replace the middle term. So 2x squared plus 6x minus x minus 4, right? So now we need to factorize this. We group the first two terms, and that's going to be, I can factor out 2x, and then this is going to be x plus, plus 3. Now, give me 1 second, guys. Let me just double check something here. Hope I gave you all the correct equation. 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. Seven x minus 4. Oh, I know. Okay, so hold on. I made a mistake here, right? Hold on. Let's fix this. I made a mistake here, right? So the sum of the two numbers, yes, it is plus 7. And the product of those two numbers has to be minus 8, right? Not minus 6, right? So that is my fault, right? I have a tendency to do that. 2 multiplied by 4. I don't know why I add it in my head sometimes, right? So it's minus 8. So those two numbers will be 8 and minus 1. Those are the two numbers, right? So let's replace that here. 2x squared plus 8x, right? Minus 1, well, it'll be minus x minus 4, right? So when we factorize this, we're going to get 2x, open brackets, x plus 4, right? Now there's nothing common to the minus x and the minus 4. So what we're going to do, don't put your sign as yet, but we're going to put a 1 here. Anytime you can't find a factor, just put 1, right? And then this is going to become, the two brackets need to be the same. So this has to be plus 4. So therefore, the only way that can happen is if this is a minus sign. So therefore, this is going to become x plus 4, right? And this is going to be 2x minus 1, right? So that's what that's what I'm getting when I factorize it. So this is going to be x plus 4 multiplied by 2x minus 1, right, is equal to 0. So we can say either, right, x plus 4 is equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to minus 4. That's one solution. Or we can say 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So 2x is equal to 1, and therefore x is equal to a half, right? So that's it, guys. It's just a short video on solving different types of equations, right? Now let me just go back to this question here. This question, make sure of something here. Make sure this question is correct. That's 2 minus. I'll make sure I didn't make an error in this here because I just find the answer look kind of off, right? So let me just give me a sec. Let me just double check this for you guys. It's 10. It's going to be 2. 4 2s are 8. 2 2s are 4. Right? And we have 7. And then multiplying that by 5. 7 5s are 35. These are 12. 12 minus 2 is 10. Yeah, I think this answer is correct here, right? I think I probably gave you a slightly different equation, right? I just found it odd that I got an answer like this, all right? So like I said, guys, hit like and subscribe to my maths channel, right? So you'll know when I post free videos, all right? So that's it for me, guys. Take it easy.